Hi guys, I'm Liza, the founder of NYC Brunch Squad, and I could talk for hours about how much I love our squad, how amazing it's been to connect all these incredible women over the last 5 years. But I think it's so much more helpful for new members to hear directly from people who have actually experienced it firsthand. And so this is a new thing I'm doing where I'm just sort of randomly selecting members of our squad to just come and have a little chat with me about their experience. So if you have come to something recently and you want to chat with me about it, reach out. Let's do it. We are here today with Kinal, who recently joined us for our Barbie brunch. I want to first say thanks so much for being here and being willing to chat with me. So yeah, we'll just dive right in.
So excited to be here.
Yay! So I figured we could just sort of lay the landscape of just like your current situation, because I think there is a huge stigma around talking about wanting new friends and
Mhm.
just like feeling like you don't have enough friends. There just seems to be so many people who don't realize how common that is. If you looked in my inbox right now, it would just be message after message of people saying like, I'm so embarrassed to say this, but I don't have any friends here, right? Like it's such a common experience, but it can feel so isolating on so many levels because you're already feeling like you don't have the support that you want. And then on top of that, you're feeling like you're the only person who's experiencing that lack of support. So I feel like in a city like New York, it could be so many things that lead someone to that place of just like wanting new friends. And so, yeah, I'm just kind of curious to hear like what led you to sort of explore NYC Brunch Squad and kind of where were you at when you started looking at our events?
Firstly, I would say I came across your page quite some time ago, and I had been seeing the stories and the events that you keep posting about, and I thought this is really interesting. And me being a person who likes going to brunches, this was even more exciting to have to see to meet women out there over brunch or boozy brunch, something like that. And so that concept just made me more intrigued to know more about it. So
For sure.
that was one thing that I was looking forward to. And on top of that, as you said, making friends is really difficult, especially when you move into a city, into the city, especially because everyone's so busy. And it's really difficult to find people who you match with or
Yeah.
have the same wavelength. So that was something that made me come towards maybe I should go for their event.
Mhm.
What could happen, I would meet few people and gel with few people and know more people in the city. So that's what I had in back of my mind, that it doesn't harm you, so you just go for it.
Amazing. Yes, I say that all the time. I'm like, what is the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario is that you come, you have an amazing brunch, and you have some good conversations, right? Like that's
Mhm.
the worst case scenario,
Yeah.
right? The best case scenario is that you might meet somebody who could go on to be like your forever best friend, like you just never know. And it's funny that you mentioned also that you had been watching the stories and seeing things from our events, because there was a woman I spoke to a few weeks ago who called herself a lurker. Like she
Mhm.
was like, I've just been lurking for a while, just like watching everything, but was too nervous to come. And I think that happens so often where people are just like consuming the content, like seeing the photos and videos and thinking like this sounds so fun, but just not ready to take that step of actually signing up to join us. And to your other point about just like people being so busy, I think that's just another huge benefit. It's like we're doing the coordinating for you. We're telling you where to
Yep.
be, when to be there. All you have to do is show up, because that can be the hardest part sometimes, just like lining up schedules with people, picking a place that's, easy
Mhm.
for everyone to get to. It's like we handle all of that for you, which is amazing. So yeah, I always tell the girls, like, I'm here to be your cheerleader. Like, I love audio messages on Instagram. I feel like people DM me and they're like, I want to come, but I'm so nervous. And I just send them like 5 audio messages back, just like showering
Yeah.
them with encouragement. Cause yeah, I think it can be really, really intimidating. So I know actually we had chatted ahead of
Mhm.
time before you registered. You definitely mentioned that you were experiencing some nerves. So Again, this is something a ton of our members deal with. So if you could just share a little bit about kind of like what you were feeling and those nerves, like I would love for them to hear more about that too.
Actually, I would like to give it to you because I did remember like dropping a message and I was just like, how this thing works and I would be interested to join in. And you being, oh, this is how like we function and we would love to have you. And the whole audio notes made it more easier because I just felt like that connect or like that kind like the energy from your end that,
Yeah.
this is something that I would be, happy to go forward with and like I would enjoy being there. So like I would definitely say that you telling me more about the events and how things go around on audio note specifically really helped me, and I was like, oh my god, this looks something really fun and I should definitely go for it. Definitely I 100% agree that I am happy that I took that step. And like after leaving that event, I like met so many people, especially, and like bonded with people, and we still are like in touch. That's really important. Like even if you meet people, to stay in touch after the event shows how successful the event was.
Yeah.
So I am really excited. I was really excited when I came in and I was like, oh, I see so many women out here and I would be happy to like make few friends and walk out of this door. And that's what actually happened.
Yay. Oh my gosh, I love hearing that. It's so exciting. And yeah, there's so many girls who I guess, I mean, it's hard because there's so many different types of events in the city. I think what makes these events so unique is that everyone is there for the same reason, right? Like
Mhm.
everyone is there because they want to make new friends. So I feel like when you connect with someone at the event, there's this sort of like understanding between you of like, yeah, we're going to stay in touch after this. Like we're going to hang out again. We're going to like keep this up because you're both there desiring that and wanting that. Whereas, there's other types of events, if it's like a networking thing or something, like you don't know if that person's just there for work or if they're
Mhm.
there because they want to meet someone to hang out with. Like it just can be a little bit confusing, I think. So
Most
yeah,
definitely.
having that common understanding, I think is,
Understanding. Yep.
yeah. And it's funny because I think part of why I started doing the audio messages. Well, first of all, I have a lot to say. So it's faster for me to just like talk instead of typing. But
But you
also,
know what? It actually helps, like, especially like people like me, just like hearing like super chill
yeah,
audio message from the owner, like, who's like hosting this events.
yeah,
It just makes you feel more calmer and more like in connect with them than
totally.
just like, them replying to text, I would say.
Yes. And that's the thing. Sometimes people don't think it's me. Like when
Mhm.
they're DMing, they don't realize it's me writing back. So that's another reason why I'm like, here's my voice. Like I'm
Mhm.
the one talking to you, because I hear that all the time. Like at the events, they'll be like, wait, was that you that I talked to? And I'm like, yep, it's
Yeah.
me. Like. So yeah, it helps for sure. Another thing I was hoping we could touch on. So I'm always trying to explain to people that, we have ambassadors at our events to greet every single guest, introduce them to other people at their table. But I know sometimes that can feel like the scariest part, like the actual walking through the
Mhm.
door, right? Where you're like, I don't know anyone in this room. Like that can feel just so intimidating. But I would love to hear just sort of like how you felt when you got there and just like what that looked like what happened.
Yeah, definitely. Like I had this no, like, but as again, like you made a group before like the actual event about the women that were attending. So that
Yeah.
made me like feel a little at ease knowing who's attending the
Mhm.
event. On top of that, like the guide that you send out that, once you enter, you'd see somebody walking in and like you can just mention that you're here with the NYC Brunch Squad. And
Yes.
that's what I did. I mean, I bumped into the first person I told them and I was like guided to the like, actual place where everyone was seated.
Yes.
And like the whole guide that you sent me, that just made it easier that I know what I have to do and I'll be like at the right place once I'm there. And
Yeah.
that's what actually happened. Like once I was there, I met you, I met the ambassador, and like I was like told like where I was seated.
Yep.
And it was actually like a proper process. So like a
Mhm.
well guided process that you wouldn't feel like, there's something lacking in the whole like stages. So
Right.
that's something really important when you don't know and when you're at a new place, you like at least have something like, you have a guide. Oh, I know I have to go there and I have to just mention this and
Yeah.
I'll be like taken care of.
Exactly. That is my like crazy detail oriented brain in the sense of like, I want it to be I hate to use the word structured because I feel like that's
Mhm.
not accurate. Like it's not structured, but there is a structure, if that
Structure,
makes
good.
sense, you know? So it's
Yeah.
like, it's not a free for all. You're not just like showing up and thinking like, am I in this room? Am I at this table? Like, there's details sent out ahead of time. You know where you're supposed to be. We're there waiting for you. And then, yeah, you also touched on like the group DM, which I think is another thing that I probably don't talk about enough because yeah, it is super helpful to get to just sort of like creep on everyone ahead of time and like check out their pages and see what they're into. It just gives you that, I don't know, it takes away some of the anxiety, I think, because you're
Yeah,
like,
it
okay,
just gives you like sense of comfort, I would say, like to know like who like what kind of people are showing up, and just gives them a little sneak peek about the people you're gonna meet, I think, before
exactly.
the event.
Exactly. And then it also makes it easier to stay in touch after the event because if you forget to give someone your number or whatever, you just go back to that group chat and find their Instagram and then you can message them. So, yeah, great points all around. I think I know the answer to this next question, but I'm curious if you were happy that you went to the event, how it was for you kind of overall, just like, yeah, any final thoughts about your experience before I get to my last question?
I was more than happy, and I'm glad I told you this the day I left as well from the event, that I'm glad I took the decision and just that leap of faith to just attend the event,
Yeah.
because as you said, like what worse could happen. And actually it just happened opposite. I was like completely satisfied with the whole event and also like the people I met. So
Mhm.
I would 100% recommend to anybody who's having like second thoughts, just like go for it. You will
Mhm.
meet like wonderful people there.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy like I went there. I'm for sure coming for like more events in future.
Yay! I'd love to hear that. Okay, so last question, which I mean, you kind of have already answered it, but what would you say to somebody who's thinking about coming to our next event, but they're just nervous to sign up and they haven't like pulled the trigger yet? I mean, to be fair, I haven't sent out the August invites yet, but let's just pretend they've already gone out. You know what next event is coming up, and yeah, there's someone out there who's like thinking about it, but they're not quite sure. What would you tell them?
I would say don't think twice, because this is the spot where you will end up meeting people. And also, like the way you said, like it's not structured, but it's also like you take care of the minute details about like I met people who were there in the event who were like coming for the second or the third time, like with NYC Brunch Squad. And that's what they mentioned, that, given that it's so well planned and like well seated as well in terms of how you meet and connect with people on that table. I
Mhm.
think that's what makes it even more interesting, that you know who you're meeting is you're gonna vibe with them, given that you, even if it's with age, the borough they're living, or anything that they is about them. So
Yeah.
that's really important, that just take that step and just come for the event. I'm sure you won't be disappointed.
Yay, I love that. And yeah, it's so true. I mean, we have such a wide range of age range of people who
Mhm.
come, so that it is super helpful with the seating to, just make sure people are kind of in the same stage of life. And so I think if you're sitting a 22-year-old next to a 39-year-old, you guys might not have as many things in common. And so, yeah, age, borough, whenever possible, we try to match people up kind of based on what they got going on. And yeah, it seems to work out. So I can't thank you enough for just coming on here and sharing a little bit about that, your experience and just how it went for you. And yeah, I'm so excited to see you at future events.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to meet you like in the future events for sure.
Amazing. Okay, well, thank you again.